I am in Ouray, Colorado at the Ouray Alchemist Museum, a one-of-a-kind museum about antique medicine and alchemy. It's located inside this really neat custom building that houses the museum and a penthouse on the 3rd floor where visitors can stay. The architecture is interesting. There's a tower with a copper dome, a finial topped by a crescent moon, which is a symbol in alchemy, and some gargoyles. That is also an alchemy symbol above the door. Alright, let's head into the Ouray Alchemist Museum. The front room is packed with antiques, although this is technically not even the museum room. There are plenty of curios in here, even some taxidermy. Here's an authentic soda fountain. There are 2 of them in this one room. Look at this! The cashier is a jackalope wearing glasses. I'm always happy to see a jackalope, and there's a sign for the Jackalope Lodge. I wish that was real. That little car is from the Wall Drug Store in South Dakota, one of the greatest roadside attractions in America. And there's a moonshine still. I believe that is a Wolpertinger. This museum is the creation and passion project of Curtis Hager, along with his wife Nancy, who are both pharmacists, and have amassed an incredible collection of old patent medicines, and all sorts of other pharmacy furnishings and antiques. They can actually sell some over the counters in here, in case seeing all the old medicines is appetizing. This is the cup of Seth Bullock.
He got to Deadwood the day after Wild Bill Hickok was killed.
Huh.
And he was the best friends with Teddy Roosevelt because they
both, really?
They were
okay.
They were best of friends. They were both sheriffs. He was 22 years old when he put into legislation in Montana, the Yellowstone Park.
Oh.
He came to South Dakota because of the gold rush, and then he met Teddy Roosevelt exchanging prisoner on a river, and they became lifelong friends. They both were Rough Riders, and they were best. They died 6 months apart.
This beautiful wood-carved pharmacy wall is from 1888. It was at the Aspen Drug Store in Aspen, Colorado, as are many of the counters and furnishings in this museum. They sure don't make them like they used to. Here is the glorious Alchemist Museum. This is amazing. The owner does provide a guided tour of the collection. Mr. Curtis knows just about everything there is to know about the history of drugs, medicine, and alchemy. He can talk about every little thing in his collection, and he also applies his knowledge of the importance of medicine and alchemy into a larger picture of the history of the world. He gives a really intriguing presentation, but he starts by showing all the different relics and explaining what a Wild West drugstore / apothecary was like. That original 1907 painting is by an artist named F.W. Schultz, and it depicts Theodore Roosevelt shooting a bison. That's really cool. Now, President Roosevelt does have some involvement with the history of medicines, as he did sign the Food and Drug Act of 1906.
This is Dr. Keating's office. He was over in Nucla. All my bottles are correct. The drugs are real. It's the National Wholesale Druggists Association, September 6, 1895, a once-in-a-lifetime train ride from New York to see all of the Wild Wild West.
This room is filled with thousands of artifacts and hand-blown glass bottles of medicines. Many of these relics were found locally from old pharmacies and stores here in the San Juan Mountains of Colorado. So most of the big furnishings in here are authentic from a Wild West Colorado drugstore. And overall, this is supposed to be a depiction of what a frontier Wild West pharmacy was like 100 years ago or so. Here's where the pharmacist would cut and sort pills. All the vintage tools are there.
Up to 60 ingredients. You gotta have crude drugs. You need a scale. You need a mortar and pestle, and you're probably on your way. And one thing you really need is alcohol. Oh, I have alcohol here, and then plant material, materia medica. And so drugs were usually in liquid form. And the only problem was take the crude bark, grind it all up. I'll start weighing things out carefully, transfer them onto a piece of paper, get all the correct ingredients, fold it up, and place it into a box, a pill box. And this is from the Idaho Springs drugstore. Large collection, and they still stand. And so you could take this home, put this in your favorite panacea. And when the pill box is empty, you brought it back to the drugstore, where the doctor would probably already have these made up. So now I'm going to need a tile. I have a porcelain tile and a wooden tile. I have 24 lines here, and I have 24 there. Why is there 24? There's 24 hours in the day. So let's say maybe 24 cupcakes, okay, or donuts. No, we're going to use this instead. Okay, since you went from a liquid to a powder, you now go to a paste or a mold. This is my drug material. I could take these powders and mix them possibly in some lard or fat or maybe into some castile soap, and now I have a piece of malleable drug material. I can place it on either device. I then will go ahead and flatten out the drug mass and rolled it back and forth, tucked it and rolled, and there you go. It eventually becomes a pixie stick. No, it's called a drug pipe now. I can cut the pipe into 24 pieces, or I can cut it with this piece right here. And I'll cut it and I'll roll it forward. What happens? Well, they get round, but they're not perfectly round. So we need a rounder. Here comes a rounder. And you roll them and roll them. And some of them are very small.
Oh, yeah.
And then they harden and they taste like shit. That's because that's probably what they would view as camel dung all the time, especially I love the skin of a viper, aged in the sun exactly 3 days. And they saw the laws were going to change, so they put some caffeine in it. Eventually they had to take the caffeine out because the kids liked it too much. Don't worry, we can wait for the Pepsi generation because we'll get Mountain Dew by 1960. And in powders inside of capsules, a better way of doing things. And that opened it up even more for more ideas. She still married the guy in the can, Prince Albert, let him out. All right, working on this side of the wall, and all you did for 6 years was just wash bottles. If you hung in there for 6 years, I'll teach you how to do all of this. Oh my God, it's cold out. You need insulation. Let's go ahead and fill it full of paper. So I took the wagon, I took the metal signs, I hammered everything out very nice, and then this goes over here, no, that, yeah, like that. Oh my God.
Oh, wow.
That's look at that.
I've been collecting 50 years. I have never found a sign in Colorado yet for the Ouray drugstore.
So this was an advertisement painted on someone's house by a pharmacist. These are apparently very rare to find. This is an antique Indian maiden wood carving with its original paints. These would often be at pharmacies back then. That is a beautiful apothecary cabinet. These old drug boxes have some interesting illustrations on them. That is a rather infamous electric belt. A radical newfangled Victorian solution for any man problems down there, whether it be a hernia or a desire for higher performance, so men would just shock the heck out of their groin. That's pretty goofy. This counter is full of quack patent medicines sold by quack doctors. There's even a sculpture of a literal snake oil salesman. That stained glass show globe was in the window of a pharmacy here in Ouray, that was just across the street from this building.
United States. So we're cranking out doctors right and left. They're called physician factories. You could attend some of these little colleges, relatively easy, less than 2 years to go to school, and they cranked them out, 25 cents for surgery. I think it's a neat piece of Colorado history. This is Dr. Bancroft. Dr. Bancroft was a surgeon. This cabinet card is 1880. First of all, let's talk about where he graduated from. University of Buffalo. The year is 1861. Yep, and by the way, 4 months later is the Civil War, so he got a little bit of surgery in the Civil War. My God. Look, Fillmore. He was president in 1830.
And you just got this?
About 9 months ago, yeah. Famous snake oil salesman of all. Yeah, he's something else, by the way. He knows exactly how this system works. You see, here's what happens. These guys are going to have no vested interest in the city council or the town, so they come in at about 4 o'clock in the afternoon on a nice shady tree. They know when people come out, right? I can tell you about the traffic. That's going to get busy in the next hour because that's the way pharmacy operates. Pulls under trees, and when he sees the people, it plays a band or a fiddle to capture your attention. Well, we are creatures of heaven. And so most people would love to have that tooth taken out. And once you got that tooth taken out, I guess you're in a little bit of pain. Don't worry, because he's got something for you. Yes, sir. Thanks for coming by, folks. My name is Dr. Pritchard. I can take care of your tooth problems, too. Actually, this man can cure cancer, syphilis, gout, tumors, and pimples. And he's in town today for a mere 25 cents. A snake oil supplement going in the opposite direction.
Oh yeah, that's funny.
And people say, oh, they did that for marketing. You think they were smart enough to do? Only 25% of the people could even read. Remember, we're a land of immigrants, right? And so people came here, and of course, they can't. And that's why we ended up putting 10 different languages on a package. You must be Polish, Italian, German, Irish, and so you have 10 languages on a package. There you go. Okay, there's 2 sides to a coin. I'll flip it over. Your friend just died 1/2 hour earlier. He just couldn't wait for it to be improved. What are we selling? Fear. That's right. Fear is the big thing. Distilling something. We're talking about the new girl in the office, and we're also just sitting here. The board side movement, advertising, plastering, all types of signs. And of course, again, with Puck Magazine, I said they got a badge, so Puck will make fun of patent medicine, because this is before and after. Then on my marketing, I fleece you of all your money, and there you go. In 1885, we don't have heroin yet, but you can get leeches, opium, and whatever else you need to make your own drugs. It's pretty easy. But then again, all the drugs over here, the manufacturing, all of that's over there. The drug manufacturers, the wholesale druggers, okay? And so you got a picture of that, and I found only one ribbon, what's left of a ribbon, so 1895. There. Okay, you got a ribbon and a photograph. But mind you, at this point in time in American history, it magnetized all your fruits and vegetables. Yeah, magnetism was really huge in so we did that. Hey, as far as your mineral water, well, we magnetized your mineral water. Was it really magnetized? No. We had a radium spring. This will become the #1 patent medicine in the whole world. This will also everything. This will cure everything from proctitis to vaginitis. Why they did all this, why Karuna, you remember those 10 languages? We want you to learn English. So we'll eventually start hyphenating things. Melina, so you'll at least learn how to speak English along the way while you're drinking whatever's in this stuff. But by this time in American history, you don't need a specialist. I don't need a cardiologist. I'll just take that heart medication. Upset stomach, I'll take that. Asthma, nervous, whatever. This time in American history, there's more alcohol being sold in medicines than in bars. That's right. More alcohol being sold in medicine than bars. On top of that, you were drinking this on top of it. All the stars lined it up. It took a quarter of a century. Because what happened was, Upton Sinclair would write a book called The Jungle. And we'll talk about our food industry. You really like to know what's in your sausage? I think it's your cousin. Second of all, it's the only one I've ever found in Colorado of Ouray. And it's not the San Juan drugstore, it's the Ouray drugstore. And it went from a log cabin to a huge factory.
Wow.
Because it's morphine, and if you like it, if you're an American Indian, I'm sure the Indians used heroin. And of course, if you like laudanum, that's 25% stronger than paregoric. And you can buy a paregoric at the Aspen drugstore and put that in your coffee too.
This case contains some unique older pieces from Europe. They made some beautiful decorated jars back then. That globe spins on its own. That phrenology bust is interesting. It has different parts of the cranium labeled, which could apparently reveal everything about a person. Notice this weird guy has his tongue sticking out with a pill on it. That's an interesting sculpture. So, this is by name an alchemy museum. Alchemy was practiced in ancient and medieval times, before more thorough discoveries in chemistry were made, and that became its own thing and much more effective. It was very mysterious and even spiritual, and what alchemists would try to do was turn more common substances into gold, considered to be the most perfect substance, basically in a quest to find everlasting life. Mr. Curtis can explain this history much more thoroughly.
And over time it's translated to carat. And that's why you have a 14 karat gold, because of St. John's bread. For me to tell the story of all of this, from the American Revolution up until today, we have to go back a long time to understand how things evolved. So let's go back to the very first civilization, to the Mesopotamia. Iraq, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and Syria. The first people in the world to have laws, language, and currency. It's called the Sumerian medical tablet. Now they don't have paper, they have mud, cuneiforms. 99% of these clay tablets are used for accounting purposes. If you're a slave, you had a very small clay tablet, but this is the oldest. Here we are, and many years later, we're in the fourth industrial revolution of the world. I'm talking 3D printing. So here's a 3D copy of the Sumerian medical tablet.
No, that's cool.
Okay, it was believed that a person could turn lead into gold. And this is the element on the periodic table that never changes its color. It's everlasting. This is the secret for everlasting life. And by the way, they also believe in the Philosopher's Stone. I do have one in here called the Bezoar. It came out of a museum in Europe. And you have a stone, mad stone, a stone that you can wear around your neck, in your pocket, take pieces off, turn it into gold, take it internally, the Philosopher's Stone. People are seeking everlasting life. They only differ by one electron proton, and there you go. And now their teeth and hair will fall out, and we'll use mercury for a long, long time. And so if you were an alchemist, thought to have been a sorcerer, you better hide, because no one wants you to turn lead into gold. You may have heard that word gibberish. Well, there was an alchemist called Muhammad and not Gibber. He was the son, Muhammad was the son of Gibber. And that's why we get the word gibberish. And this is gibberish. This is a symbol in alchemy for the king of poisons, red arsenic. And when you put these alchemist symbols on paper, as we know as doctors' prescriptions, that's why prescriptions by pharmacists are known as a bunch of gibberish. I don't know what the heck that doctor ever wrote. You see, what happened in the world was this. From the beginning, it was plant materials was believed to be the thing to use for people, because Mother Earth. The largest kingdom is the plant world. That's why opium is known as God's drug. It's probably the most important plant still on the face of Earth. And so plant material goes on forever and ever until somebody disrupts the whole system. Now, when there's a man called Hippocrates, the father of medicine, please do no harm. We learned to do that. But then again, there is the most famous physician in the world, Dr. Galen. He was the Greek physician of the Roman Empire who goes unchallenged for 2,000 years. By the way, he teaches us to use plant material, Materia Medica. He's also the father of physiology. That's right, he's the physician to the gladiators. And he teaches us if you stick your tongue out and say, I can tell what's going on in you, and treat you the four ways, the four humors: blood, phlegm, yellow, and black bile. Blood being the biggest. Life is in the blood. Bleeding people on a regular basis for all their ills and what have you. High blood pressure, not a problem. Malaria, not a problem. Too many hamburgers, not a problem. Fever, not a problem. Yeah, I'll bleed you. And by the way, if you're scared of a knife, I'll put some leeches in your head because you got too much blood going to your head. By the way, if that baby has got a fever, you know what they did? They bled the baby. How do you bleed a baby? In the jugular vein. Because you can't find it? Okay, bloodletting was you had to have a sharp knife. Eventually, through a whole bunch of time, going from plants to chemicals, it's being recognized as a science through King Henry II. And he said, oh my gosh, I think I'll make it an official yeah, let's call it chemistry. Yeah, CHEM, chemistry. Well, we just took alchemy and split it into chemistry. We just took astronomy into astrology, into a science. Now, there's one thing true on both sides of the equation, that we as humans are all the same. Was heaven to earth and earth to heaven. And when we walk out this door today, we all experience the same thing. Well, earth, wind, fire, and water. That's how you're going to move the troops. And that's why Napoleon's teeth is black. He chews on the licorice root all day long. So let's ask ourselves, how does licorice work on the human body? It affects your kidneys. They're very complex. Licorice has glyceric acid, and glyceric acid will hold into potassium, the water, and therefore you could march longer and then drink the water. And so they wanted to make a living. They made silk. They can't sell the silk, especially on the water, since the Persians control the oceans. Now they want to control the oceans. And so it had to go on a road called the Silk Road. And by the way, you might as well take the opium on that road too and spread it throughout the world, because you're going to probably need it. You're going to overtake places. And then eventually they'll sell the fifth most valuable thing in the world at the time, the red barbarian. When the red barbarian gets up into Russia, they plant it all over the Russian Empire. And when it travels across the oceans from here to here, in the 17th century, for 2 centuries we planted it all the way across America. We call it today rhubarb, the fifth most valuable thing in the world. And you see, in order to get rich, all the wealth was dealing and making money was in the spice items. And so all the drugs and spices, salt and pepper, are worth a lot of money. And they go one place in the South Sea Chinese. And so people tried to find a shortcut. That's what this is all about. To talk about another plant material on the shelf in alchemy, and this came out of Telluride, is Myristica. Myristica, during this period of time in the Wild West, was used as a hypnotic. It's called a nutmeg store. This is worth a lot of money, folks. Just think of this on a wooden boat. You can take it on these oceans, all the way, navigate through this, navigate your boat all the way around Africa. Oh God, oh my, keep going, keep going, keep going, bingo! That's if you survived it. And it's worth a lot of money. It goes from $1 to $10,000, okay? I mean, everywhere. Why did people want this in the Middle Ages, or people? They wanted to see their relatives. Because it has hypnotic and psychedelic properties. They could smoke this and get in, well, state of psychosis. And they needed some help, so they reached across out to the physicians, and they reached above, and they all got together and convinced King James to take the power away from the Grocers Guild. We now have independent apothecaries, and now that comes to America. And what happened that day? Independent apothecaries, and we get Harry Potter. But something else happened in 1617. We got the very first patent medicine in the world. Who got the patent? Well, it's a good old boy system. King James' own personal physician. The Anderson pill in 1617 became the very first patent. It's mercury. Mercury was used for depression. He had to wean himself off of this stuff because he's getting the Mad Hatter disease, and also constipation and for new diseases. His wife was on morphine and opium just to calm her news down. By the way, you're a young soldier, are you not? Who's your buddy? Hospital's bitters. Yep, bitters is better for you. Alcohol. Yeah, 70% alcohol and some quinine. When we went to war with Civil Revolutionary War, we knew we were going to war with England. We had to have 5 drugs. Number uno would have been cinchona, discovered by the Spanish, quinine. Number 2 was God's drug. So you drank this. Hey, by the way, it's 1863. We're going into battle. It's called Gettysburg. Only 75,000 soldiers will die in the next 3 days. By the way, if you're going to battle, you got to drink 1 or 2 of this to feel no pain. If you survive that, officially in the medicine in the Northern Hospital, you're drinking hospital's bitters is better. Yeah, just enough quinine to keep the chills off. By the way, one thing as a soldier feared was going to New Orleans. That's a major shipping port. Yeah, we got a supply line, and there's yellow fever down there. 20,000 people could die in a heartbeat. And now you got to warn the people and keep the ships unloaded. You're walking on a railroad. Hey, it's happy hour. I love the Irish, don't you? Well, we didn't treat the Chinese good enough, so we gave them $1 a day, 50 cents for a Happy Meal, the rest of them opium, right back to work. You're in our parties, okay? He said to Kurt, we're going to get rich. I hope so. He said, we're going to start a snake farm. Why is that? Because that's what the Chinese were doing. So you and I started a snake oil farm. It's heroin, PM, and there are no laws in the United States, and you can put it in everybody's medicine cabinet, and that's what Bayer will do. If you get one of those indications, heroin, PM. As far as a panacea, and there's a shot glass. By the way, here's a bottle. This is a great piece of Colorado history. On the corner is a culinary store. One time it was a saloon. So the miners used to go in there, and these are called pharmacy whiskeys. They put the whiskey in there and took it home to their wife and said, that's my medicine. Edison was on cocaine and morphine. He actually had his own patent medicine called Edison's Polyform, and he sold it to a company in Menlo Park in 1879. It's called Edison Polyform, and so it flew off the shelf. I couldn't keep it on fast enough. And by the way, Thomas Edison was a businessman. He said, I sold you my formula, I didn't give you the right for my image, so please take it off. So in 1880, it never sold again. And everybody else is getting into this. You saw how big this is going to get. It's going to mushroom. So he wants to get a piece of the action, just like everybody's with Dogecoin and all the other things going on. And so one thing, if you want to sell something, you just need to tell the people what they want to hear. You don't have to tell them the truth. So let's just tell everybody in America that this cures all diseases of which humans and animals are suffering. That's right. It cures all diseases of which humans and animals are suffering. Oh my God, that sounds just wonderful. What do you think, Ethel? How much is that? $3? Oh God, that's exactly what's in my pocket. A minor wages. He knew what you were making. He might have said for the marketing, it says I need to drink this 3 times a day religiously for 6 months. Why is that? Oh, you're going to go to Europe too and sell this also, but you're going to hightail it out of town. By the way, it goes to Europe, comes back, dies in 1904. It's finally tested by the U.S. Department of Agriculture. What was in this? Doesn't save everything with your dog. Why? It was water, 99.8% water. Well, it's a microkiller. We'll just put 1 drop of hydrochloric sulfuric. You can call it a microkiller. You want a flavoring? Top it off with 1. And that would take care of it. Kills you. The shaman, he burns 4 holes into your arms. And then he spits on the tips, put 1 in the hole, and 20 minutes you'll be purging. If it's not in 24 hours, I think you're going to feel invisible, if not invincible. Because you're going to lose your appetite, and you're going to be able to hunt for a long, long time.
Alright, that was the Ouray Alchemist Museum, which I will venture to say is the best attraction and experience here in Ouray, Colorado. This is an amazing collection and a very special place. Mr. Curtis is a great host, a very knowledgeable guy, and I appreciate his hospitality and for allowing me to film and share this. I cannot recommend this enough. If you visit Ouray, definitely come to this museum. Make sure to arrange a tour ahead of time, and it will be absolutely worth it. You've got to take this tour for yourself. If you enjoyed this video, then please make sure to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. I have made videos at other unique museums and attractions across America and elsewhere, featuring some other medical museums, general history museums, roadside attractions, national parks, and much more, including videos on other Ouray attractions. Thanks for watching.